Now that was a Sunday for you. We had 9-1 score games, a game decided by a 2-point conversion in overtime. The difference between the good and the bad was blurred across the whole NFL. The MVP race, I think, is more contested than it's ever been. The Steelers' defense got back on track. We had Daniel Jones come back down to reality a little bit. The Titans showed so much fight with so much adversity for Cam Ward, but at the end of the day, Chargers prevail. We had bad defense cost the Bengals. Bad offensive execution cost the Packers. You had the old guys of Rodgers, Stafford, and Flacco slinging it, acting like they were 26-28 again. And then you got Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, and Caleb Williams showing that the young guys got some flash too. Overall, the playoff picture couldn't be any more wider than it is right now. But each and every team knows that it's one game at a time. And as my dad has always said to me, any given Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Fourth and Forever podcast. I am your host, Josh Kirby, and let's get into it. Let's start off with the Seahawks taking on the Washington Commanders. As I always do when a bad injury happens, I try to start off that by saying my thoughts are with Jaden Daniels and his family. That dislocated left arm looked terrible. And let's just dive into just the overall controversy coming from that. Typically, when a team's down by a large score, you pull your starting quarterback out. Now, not every team does this, but a lot of teams do. And the main reason is to avoid injuries. Now, if Dan Quinn knew Jaden Daniels was going to get hurt, obviously he would have pulled him out. But I don't think Dan Quinn should be under as much scrutiny as he has been. His quarterback, yes, has proven that he has not been able to stay healthy. It's been his third injury in 2 seasons. This is not a formula for success, and it's, as they always say, the best ability is availability, and it's something Joe Burrow's facing right now. And now we're seeing it transition to Jaden Daniels right now, and that's really, it's scary for a young man's career. I was just telling my girl earlier today, as we were getting up, I told her this is the harsh part about the NFL. Her being a newer fan, she doesn't get to see stuff like this. And I said, as watching the NFL over time, everyone has to get, it's new and it's different watching these young quarterbacks come in and have a phenomenal rookie season, and then seeing how it goes from there and how injuries can derail a player's career. I mean, I've seen it happen with Andrew Luck. I've seen it happen with RG3. We've seen it just across the board over the years where a quarterback can come in and have a really good year of success or a couple years of success, but injuries can derail it so fast. So I really hope a speedy recovery. And luckily, it was his non-throwing arm, so hopefully JD can work back. But I will say this is probably it for the Commanders this season. They also lost Marshawn Lattimore for the season too. He looked like an ACL injury. It's probably it for the Commanders, at least this season. Even by the time JD gets back, I think the race for the playoffs is going to be too much, and there's going to be too much of a deficit by the time they try to get their feet under them, and they're not. But what I've been saying all year about the Commanders has been so true. The offensive line hasn't been that good, and it still isn't. They still don't have a consistent run game. Running with 3 different running backs when none of them really getting that spark is a problem, and that defense has been terrible. The Seahawks carved them up the whole first half of the game, and then the Seahawks obviously, I think, pulled back a little bit, but let's just run out and give the respect where the respect is due. Seahawks are now 6-2. Darnold entered the second half after a phenomenal first half. He went 16 for 16, 4 touchdowns, and it was over 200 yards. I think it was close to like almost 240. One of the best markers we've ever seen to start a game. And this is a man that had so much scrutiny over his career. He had even after what he was able to do in Minnesota, we had so many people come out and say, well, that was a fluke. It was 1 year. Luckily, he had Kevin O'Connell. He had Justin Jefferson. He had Jordan Addison. No wonder he was putting up numbers like this. When he comes into an offense, he gets settled. He has a great OC, a really good head coach, a defense that plays great complementary football, which I'll get to that in a moment. JSN, who's looking like one of the best receivers in football. A great 2-headed running back combo in Charbonnet and Walker. what AJ Barner's looking like a really solid tight end, and then just receivers all over the place just making plays, setting up for success. This is Darnold's been playing great. He's been so everyone thought it was a fluke last year, but he's proven that it is not a fluke, and the Seahawks team should be taken seriously. But what's really the best part about this team is that defense. Right now, the Seahawks defense is ranked 10th in yards and 7th in scoring, which is phenomenal. They're going to finish as a top 10 defense this season, maybe top 5. They can win so many different ways too, whether it's running the ball more heavily or passing it, or the defense can get sacks or force turnovers or just putting their offense in good field position. This has just been a great team that come playoff time should really be worried, because what they're doing right now is going to translate for the playoffs. And something I've talked about so heavily is what will be sustainable long term in the NFL. Because you see a lot of these teams that can be good for stretches or good here or good there, but what is going to carry you into the playoffs and hopefully push for a Super Bowl push? What they're doing right now is going to set them up very, very well for that. So shout out to the Seahawks for another phenomenal win, and hopefully they'll keep rolling. They do have a tough division. The Niners and Rams are not going away anytime soon. So this is something that this division's really going to come down to those 3 teams and how they're going to be beating each other up near the end of the season, and eventually one of them could miss the playoffs. I don't think it's going to be Seattle with how they're playing, but one of those 3 teams can miss the playoffs, why only one of those teams will win this division. So it's cool to see where that goes for the rest of the year. Next, let's talk about a young quarterback and an old quarterback. The Bears taking on the Bengals. Now, I don't want to give too much into just talk about just Joe. You know, Joe, my boy, and I've been hyping up Flacco all year, and he's putting on a phenomenal stretch of games. 470 yards, the most ever by a quarterback over 40. Amazing. But let's just listen to this about the Bengals real quick. The Bengals had a kickoff return for a touchdown to start the game. They had a blocked field goal, an onside kick recovery. They had 500 yards of total offense, and they scored 15 points in less than a minute. But they still lost. The Bengals' defense is horrid. It's bad. And it's been bad for a couple years, and it's not getting any better. While as for the Bears, they don't have a good defense either. They've been letting this stuff happen too. But they have a very good coach. They have a very talented young quarterback, and they have great weapons across the board. And their boy Monangai, that young running back, has really established himself in that offense. This Bears team should be thankful they got Ben Johnson, because he is everything and more that he was promised. Caleb is still missing a lot of the layups, a lot of the short throws, the easy, quick stuff, but he can make big, phenomenal plays. If they can tighten up and get those things right, Caleb could be a really good quarterback in this league. And them now winning 5 of their last 6 games, they should definitely be a team that could be a fringe playoff team. Something to look into. While the Bengals, they're not going to win if the defense plays like this. They can win if the offense plays like that. I mean, putting up 42 points, you should be able to win the game, but they can't. So, as for Ben Johnson, it's clearly been the right move. Maybe the Bengals, they moved off a defense coordinator. That clearly didn't work. Burrow's hurt again. This offense is really good. Maybe Zach Taylor might be on the hot seat, because clearly this offense has pieces, but this defense is not playing with enough heart and enough firepower. It looks like this defense is just a bad defense, and it's really, really not good. So the Bengals are probably, if kissed their any chance hope of reviving their season with Flacco, goodbye. While the Bears are, with the Lions losing, the Packers losing, the Vikings winning, this NFC North has become tighter than it's been all season, with all these teams potentially could make the playoffs. So we'll see where that goes from there. Speaking of Bears and the NFC North, the Green Bay Packers today took a loss to the Carolina Panthers. Now, that's why we got my nice Carolina Cam Newton jersey on right there, because that was the last time that team was relevant. But this team's got a young quarterback who is not the answer. I'm just going to keep saying this. Bryce Young barely threw over 100 yards. He didn't throw a touchdown. He's not the answer. And I think he's trying his best. And I think he's putting so much effort into it. And I think this kid will be a great backup quarterback throughout his career. But he's not the answer there. They didn't win because of him. That defense played out of its mind. It was a great defensive performance, and it's very impressive to see how that all turned out. But now the Panthers are 5-4. I think they're a game above 500. I think it's a lot more smoke and mirrors. I don't see this team being a contender long term. I think the Packers just looked flat. And Kraft got hurt. They said it doesn't look good. It possibly could be Achilles or ACL. He could be out for the season. And that's another receiver gone down. This is a team that I've been saying it all year. Sustainability is what's going to keep this team afloat, is what's going to carry this team into the playoffs. But something I have not expressed enough is my fear of this team. It's something I guess I've sprinkled in. They don't have a legitimate elite weapon, at least not anymore. Tucker Kraft is hurt. Christian Watson's good, but not great. Josh Jacobs is really, really, really good, but his days of being elite just does not seem like it's viable here in Green Bay anymore. So what is going to be the difference long term? Clearly, this defense has been in lights out. Michael Parsons won Defensive Player of the Month in October, and he's been phenomenal the last month. He's got his feet under him, and he's been a playmaker each and every week. And he's the main reason this team is going to keep staying afloat and keeping opponents from scoring a lot. This defense is playing very, very, very well. As for the offense, they need that elite piece. Whether they're going to go make a trade for a receiver or a tight end at this point, there are a lot of weapons out there that might be very useful for them. Will they call the Saints and go get Shaheed or Chris Olave? Will they call the Dolphins to go get Jalen Waddle? Will they call the Texans and someone that probably wasn't going to be a viable option may become viable in Nico Collins? I'm unlikely, but the Texans clearly season might be done with Stroud getting hurt. So maybe it's time for the Packers to really start making some phone calls and try to get a difference maker, a game changer on the offensive side of the ball, because they're going to face other teams in their division that have difference makers. The Lions, who have St. Brown, Williams, Gibbs, Montgomery, Laporta, all ballers. Going to play the Vikings. They have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and Aaron Jones, who's looking really good since coming back from being banged up. And then you got the Bears. I mean, DJ Moore is a game player, and the intelligence of this offense, it makes everyone viable weapons. So this is a team that really, for them to keep staying afloat and keep winning football games, looking flat isn't an option anymore. That's not sustainable. Getting an elite weapon might just be something you might need to take this team to that next level. But after that performance against the Panthers, I wouldn't say I'm worried. I'm slightly concerned about the Super Bowl pick, but I'm not really worried about them making the playoffs. But I am concerned if they have that Super Bowl aspirations as a team after that loss. As for the Panthers, maybe it's just I've watched enough football to know that this is not sustainable what you're putting out. But I will give a strong shout out to Rico Dowdle, who looks better than he ever did in Dallas. Right system, right fit. He looks amazing, and sucks for my fantasy team, but we really could see Chuba Hubbard taking more of a backseat role to Rico Dowdle. Next, let's go into the Colts and the Steelers game. Probably one of my most exciting games for this season. I thought the Colts were going to pick it up, get the win. They did not. The Steelers came out and won. Steelers had a great game plan. Steelers looked great. The defense played the best they've played all season, especially in the past 3 weeks. They forced 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles, and they made Indiana Jones look like the Danny Dimes of New York that we all grew to not enjoy. It was a rough game for the Colts. They couldn't get the run game going. The defense was good but not great. The receivers were okay. It was just overall, the Steelers defense looked like they weren't ready to give up the North easy at all. And that's what this is all about. That's what the Steelers are playing for. They're playing to win their division. And a win like this is very important in that with the Ravens stacking some wins. They need this. So when they play the Ravens I think in 3-4 weeks, something like that, it's not going to be as much. It's they can really that win or loss can really determine the division. It's going to be very important for that team and for us. Um, as for the Colts, this is the worst game they've played all season, and this is a team that looks like they got punched in the mouth once, they got punched in the mouth twice, and they were fighting, but they didn't want to get punched anymore. You could tell. They were able to bring it close and they were trying to come back, but they clearly looked out just manned. They just looked out toughed. The defense the Steelers team that I grew up knowing, that's what showed up. And they were tough, they were hard, and they were going to punch the Colts in the mouth as many times as they needed to get the win. And the Colts just weren't ready for that. They have not had a game like that all season. They were typically the ones pushing people around with the run game and setting up the pass game, but they were struggling to do anything. I mean, they like I said, they made it close, but this 27 was not the realism of the game. Anyone that watched the game clearly saw the Steelers outplayed them all across the board. This is bad for the Colts, as this is game film of how to rattle Daniel Jones, and this is going to set him back to the guy that we knew in New York, or is this just a bad game and the Colts can get things going? What they're most lucky about is the Jags. I still don't think are great. They beat a team in overtime. Raiders went for the win and didn't get the 2-point conversion. So it's not really, I don't think, give credit to the Jags that much for that. They had a great defensive stance, but this defense has been playing well all year. Cam Little hit that 68-yard field goal, which I want to give a shout out to him for that, setting the NFL record previously held by Justin Tucker at 66 yards. But even with all those things surrounding the Jaguars, I don't think anyone thinks they're a really good team. I think they can beat bad teams, which the Raiders are just a bad team. Where the Texans just saw Stroud go down with an injury, and the Titans Cam Ward's doing everything he can to try to be successful, and there is just no help anywhere in sight there in Tennessee. So the Colts have, I think, an open window to win this division. But after what I just saw, I don't see them as a playoff threat at all for any other team. I'm sure there's a lot of teams actually licking their chops hoping they start off the playoffs against the Colts, because that would be more ideal. Or if the Colts somehow get that first round bye, it might not be as helpful to them as they would hope so. So that's something to look out for both teams. Next, one team that I have no idea about, and another team that I love, Falcons and New England. It was a back and forth tough game. Keyshawn Boutte went down with an injury. Hopefully he'll be okay. It looks like a hamstring. Christian Gonzalez looked like he faced a concussion. Hopefully he'll be okay. Those are two very important pieces to this team. Boutte been a great deep ball receiver all season long, and Gonzalez is probably their best defensive player. So hopefully they'll both get healthy. But either way, May and the Patriots were able to pull out this victory. It was a close game, but the Patriots are doing something that's helping their case as a real contender. Is they're winning games all different ways. They're winning blowouts. They're winning close games. They're winning games when everything isn't perfect. They're showing that they are a team built and ready to be battle tested. And this is what they're going through now. This is a team that can enter the playoffs with some close wins and some we got away with it kind of wins, which is really going to help them in those tight situations in the playoffs when you're facing teams where everyone knows it's their last shot. And that is going to be, it's going to only help them as the season goes on to be in games like this where the opponent clearly has been, came out to play. I mean, shout out Drake London, 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards, looking like a top 5 receiver in the league, which I've always liked London. I'll give him his respect. But man, really, really put on the map how great he is in that game. I still don't know how great Penix is, or that Falcons team in general. I think this is the same Falcons team that I've seen for years. They're a good roster. They're okay coached. They fight hard each week. But some games they're going to get their teeth kicked in. Some games they're going to kick some teeth in. But more often than not, no matter how well they play, the opponent is going to be better. This is a excellent, possibly 8-9 team. But this is not a winning team. This is not a team that's going to go about 500 on the season. This is a team that has all of these potential solutions to problems, but yet still have the same questions every single year. Are they good enough? Is the quarterback good enough? They have a top 10 defense. They have at least, I would say, a minimum top 10 receiver. They have a top 5 running back, but yet still can't put it all together to win. Is it on the coach? But how can it be? It's the same thing over and over again. This organization is just defined by being middle. They had that one year with Matt Ryan to the Super Bowl with him winning the MVP. But since then, they've been mid. They've been 6, 7, 8 wins, maybe 10 wins. But that's it. That's their window. 7 to 10 wins. That's their window. That's the sweet spot. But this is not a 10-win team. This is an 8-win team. And because they lose games like this, where they came out, they played well, but once again, a team which I want to say has less talent overall beat you. Maybe it's because of coaching. It's probably because of quarterback play. At the end of the day, though, what are the Falcons is what something I'm probably going to be asking myself for the rest of my lifetime. Because so far, that's what I've asked every single time the Falcons come up. What are they? But once again, shout out Drake May. He's just playing phenomenal. If he would have played like this last season, Bo would have won Rookie of the Year. But he's playing like this season, should be in the MVP conversation. But overall, phenomenal. Which that would transition to the Broncos and Texans game, where, like I said, Stroud gets hurt, concussed. This probably ends the season for the Texans. Even if Stroud's out for this game, he's gonna be out for at least one more game. So it's another loss they're chucking up. It's good for the Ravens because they beat the Ravens early this season, so the Ravens can inch out one more win than them. It's better for the playoffs. While the Texans, I think it's just too much is wrong. Stroud got hurt. Your line's not great. Defense is playing really well, but your offenses just can't keep up. I mean, I'm not surprised this was the game went the way it went with the Broncos. I mean, the Broncos' defense is phenomenal, and their offense has a ceiling, which I've been saying all season. The Broncos should be jumping for joy that they were smart enough to go hire Sean Payton and bring him in as a head coach, and he completely put this team where it is today. This team is not 7-2 because of their quarterback. I think Bo Nix is really talented, but that's not why they're 7-2. They're 7-2 because his defense plays really hard, because his offense is schemed very well, because the time management and the timeout situation, everything that the head coaching is doing, Sean Payton is doing it at such a high level. He's put this team in a position to win each and every week, no matter how they do it, whether it's clean, whether it's ugly, whether it's close, whether it's blowouts. They know how to win. They are like the opposite of the Falcons. They don't have all these phenomenal talent overall. They have overall, I would say their receiving core is full of wide receiver twos. I love Sutton, but even then, we've seen over the years he's not the one we hoped he would be. But yet they know how to win. They know how to put it together, and maybe we gotta give the credit where credit's due to Sean Payton, a future Hall of Fame coach who said he knew how to make this team a winning team, and he's come in and he's proved it. And he got his guy, and Bo Nix, he has an obvious ceiling, but he can win with Bo. And Broncos are a team to be worried about. They now got 2 games up on the Chiefs. The Chargers are about, I think, a game or 2 behind as well. It's rough. They're going to win this division. I think they're very much going to go win this division. And come playoff time, if they can play the way they've been playing, there's no way they can't win a playoff game, or maybe even 2, or hell, maybe even 3 and go to the Super Bowl. Hell, They might get the first seed at 7-2. Why after the Colts just lost? The Colts have it over them, but I could see the Colts losses stacking up a lot quicker than the Broncos losses, just based on how these two teams are playing at the moment. It's something to really keep an eye on, but I mean, but the Broncos, what they've been doing though this season has been so impressive, and it's mainly in the fourth quarter. Something I wanted to just before I moved on to the next game, I wanted to clarify how great they've been in the fourth quarter. They have been averaging 10.6 game points, 10.6 points per game in the fourth quarter, which is the third best in the NFL. And they're only allowing an average of 4 points per game in the fourth quarter, which is fourth best in the NFL. The eye test has seen it, the scoring has seen it, the stats back it up. They've been one of, if not the best, fourth quarter team in the NFL, which shows that they can end games and they know how to win. And I've been saying it all the time. Knowing how to win and winning in different ways is what establishes the great teams from the average teams. We've seen the Eagles do it. We've seen the Chiefs do it. We've seen the Bills do it. And recent memory, we've seen the Ravens do it at times. Broncos are doing it. Broncos are learning a different way to win, and this is really going to put them on the map after this victory. Now, I got 2 games left I want to talk about here. First being another teams from the NFC North. The Vikings played the Lions. Brian Flores should be a head coach. I don't know if it's next year. I don't know if the year after that. I don't know if he's waiting for to pick his right moment. But holy crap, is he the best defensive coordinator in the league right now? His guys play hard for him. They're fast. They force turnovers. They get to the quarterback. They've had quarterbacks under duress all season, and you saw it was no different today. When you can get after a quarterback and put so much pressure on the offense like that, and also stop the run game, which is the best two-headed running back combo in NFL history, that's hats off to you. You have really proven how great you are, Brian Flores, and you have proven that you should be given another opportunity as a head coach. You were very much screwed over in Miami and were given a very unfair situation there. You deserve a fair, true, honest shot. And I'll be the first to say it. I'm sure I know others have, but I will boldly say it. You deserve a head coaching job again. Because what you have done with this defense, I'm telling you, I can't name that many players in this defense. They got Dallas Turner. They got Harrison Smith still doing it. Isaiah Rodgers. Ivan Pace, I think, is still there. And then just tons of guys that are just showing up each and every week for their coach. It's phenomenal. They've been a phenomenal team. As for the offense of the Vikings, JJ's still not perfect. It's only his third game of his career. His first game was only phenomenal in the fourth quarter. Second game was horrid through 4 quarters. And this game was a really good middle okay showing. He was okay. But what defines him is not always how the stats look. It's how the guys play around him. He motivates this team. This team feeds off his energy. He's got a lot of energy. He's got a lot of emotions. He wants this team to win, and he wants to put this team on his back, and he wants to put his players in positions to win. The problem is with a young quarterback that plays with a lot of emotions, you get a lot of high highs and a lot of low lows. It's something we've seen a lot with young quarterbacks over the years. Baker, to come to example, Baker's a very emotional player. I think as he's aged, he's done a lot better about being able to control and level out those emotions so those low lows aren't as low. And his high highs can still be those high highs. JJ hasn't figured that out yet, and I think that's going to take a lot of time. He's got the right coach in Kevin O'Connell to really work him through this process. But as long as he's quarterbacking this team is going to go out and fight hard every week for him. And if they can put together victories, it's only going to sustain it even more. It brings a lot more when you're winning, even if your quarterback's not perfect, but he's giving you that motivation to know that it just takes one play, it just takes one moment, and the whole thing can change into your favor. I just this mainly was just talking about and shouting out the Vikings because the truth is, Lions. I'm not worried about the Lions. I think the Lions are a very talented team. They're a great team. They generally don't lose back-to-back games, so I very much see them next week bouncing back and playing very well. Hopefully, Amaron wasn't hurt too bad. I know he got banged up a little bit, but he seems like he'll be fine. Gibbs, they went for Montgomery over Gibbs against this defense just because this defense seemed they were being a little more aggressive. So, but I don't see that cutting down Gibbs' play time in the future. I think this team will be fine. I'm not worried about the Lions. I think they can still get it together. They're still one of the best teams in the NFL. This game was more about the Vikings showing that they are not ready to just lay down and die. That even if the quarterback situation isn't perfect, this roster and this coaching staff is amazing. Just across the board, amazing. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this North plays out throughout the season with the Vikings, Packers, Lions, and Bears looking to all be real competitors going into the second half stretch of the NFL season. Now that transitions me to two teams we should be seeing in the playoffs on the AFC side, the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills defense looked the best they've looked all season. And one thing that they've been bad at is stopping the run. Well, good for them because the Chiefs are bad at running the football. So it was a game where you knew that aspect of it probably wasn't going to be the definer of this game. It was going to be Superman Allen versus Superman Mahomes, who was going to lead their team to victory. Josh Allen, who once again is proving why he won MVP last season and why he's always should be talked about as an MVP, because he is growing his historic run as the only man to have, I think it's 47 games with a passing and rushing touchdown. He took the lead from Cam earlier this season, and he's going to keep running with this lead. He's phenomenal. This right here is a phenomenal stat to show that he is a difference maker and that when his team needs it, he can put his team on the back and do great things. But the real difference from this game is the Chiefs' offensive line and lack of running the ball put a lot on Mahomes, and this Bills defense was able to get after Mahomes all game. Every time I looked up, he was getting hit, or he was getting sacked, or he was getting pushed out of the pocket. And now this Chiefs team isn't still. They've been clicking really well, and they had, I think, pretty good performance. But it's a weakness that can get exploited. And what sucks for them is they play the Broncos with a phenomenal defense two times this season. They haven't faced them yet. That's going to be a rough matchup for the Chiefs. They play the Chargers again with a pretty decent defensive line. That's going to be a tough matchup for the Chiefs. The Chiefs are right now sitting at 5-4, looking same record as the Carolina Panthers. Clearly, they have the better quarterback. Clearly, they have the better coach. Clearly, we think this is a lot better team. But that 5-4 easily can really hurt their odds of not only not getting the number one seed, which is something they fight for every season, because the playoffs normally go through Arrowhead. Doesn't look like the case this year. Then, on the flip side, the Chiefs are looking at not even winning their division. So there's a chance they don't even get any home field advantage at all in the playoffs, which is something that has really helped them, which is something that always really helped New England on their run. What's so different, though, about this season compared to last season with this team? One, I think the aura is kind of faded a little bit. I think people aren't as afraid of this team. Their offense, Kelsey, is clearly, even though he's playing well, he's still a step or two slower. This offensive line is probably the worst that it's been under in protecting Mahomes ever. The run game is just not existent. Something that Andy Reid prides himself on creating a run game, and it's not happening. They've had a real tough time establishing consistent running back each and every year. Pacheco, we thought, would be the guy after breaking his leg. He's not been the same, and he may never be the same. The receivers are great, but the defense is still okay. I told you the defense is schemed well, but that defense isn't phenomenal. These are two teams that have playoff and Super Bowl aspirations every year because they know who is at quarterback. And I don't love the Bills this season either. I think their defense is definitely suspect and could potentially be an issue at long term, but they're figuring it out, and they figured it out against Mahomes pretty well. And as for the Chiefs, I don't have no concern they'll miss the playoffs, but not winning the division, not having home field advantage, could really hurt them in the playoffs when they might have to go to Denver and play Denver for the third time. Like, that is not something they want to do. That's not something I think anyone really wants to do. I think it would be worst case scenario for almost every team in the NFL, at least in the AFC, to have to go to the playoffs and go through Mile High Stadium and play the Broncos. I mean, that's not something anyone wants to do. So this was one of the most anticipated games leading up in the week, and I think it was a good game. It did everything that this matchup always delivers. Josh Allen was Superman. Mahomes tried everything he could to be Superman. Bills, once again, in the regular season, beat the Chiefs. But come playoff times, if they win, I still got my money on Mahomes. But you could see the tides have changed a little bit, and it's not the same as seasons past. So it's exciting to see where these two teams will go. And most importantly, it's exciting to see whether the Chiefs can take hold of their division or the streak of winning their division, I think of 9 years in a row, will come to an end. Now that we went over those games, let's get into my midseason awards, because I put together my midseason awards just as who I think should win them at this point in the season. So, MVP, I have Matthew Stafford. Now, I know I was rooting for Baker, and then I was rooting for Jonathan Taylor, but after back-to-back phenomenal weeks, and this stat line, Matthew Stafford currently has 21 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, over 2,000 yards, and 113.2 quarterback rating. He had mild to good expectations coming this season. People thought based on his injuries and his age, this might be the decline of Stafford that we've all been waiting for. But as of right now, with the way he's slinging it and the way this offense is really going through him, he's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Definitely playing like a top 5 quarterback in the league. He's phenomenal. And I really think if you got to establish an MVP, a guy who's doing the most for his team, putting them in a successful position, he's right now doing that. Maybe it's recency bias after Sunday, him having a great game and Jonathan Taylor not having a great game and Baker being on bye. Maybe that has some bias. But if it's a midseason award. So if I have to do it right here, right now, my MVP would be Matthew Stafford. I think he's more than earned it. Next, though, my Offensive Player of the Year will be Jonathan Taylor. I had him in the MVP conversation, but that's more on projections. And if he can keep projecting the way he is, I could see it. But as of right now, he's at least the best offensive player in the league, with honorable mentions of JSN probably up in that conversation too. But Jonathan Taylor has 14 total touchdowns, 895 rush yards, 218 receiving yards. And after that bad Daniel Jones game, he's really shown that he is the heart and soul of this team, that he is the leader of this team, that this team will win or lose on his back, not on the quarterback's back, which I think bodes him better for MVP, but at least puts him in conversation for the Offensive Player of the Year. Next, my Defensive Player of the Year is Micah Parsons. He's got 6.5 sacks on the year. He was Defensive Player of the Month in October and had a phenomenal October. He has changed this Packers defense. Every week, it's very much an eye test thing with him. We're watching all offenses plan for him. He's in the play. He's disrupting passes. He's disrupting plays. He's all over the field for that defense, and he is making plays each and every week, and he's really set himself apart like he has his whole career as one of the best defensive players in the league. Now, honorable mentions for this would be Myles Garrett for sure. Nick Bonito would be on that list, but I think on overall team impact as well, Michael Parsons has the advantage here because his team is also performing at a very high level as well. Next would be my Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, I know everyone knows me, and I've been saying it all year, that I thought Emeka Egbuka was the clear Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, I'm still on that, but he has to get back to the swing of things with Baker. They have to get back on the same page. And honorable mention will be Jackson Dart. But I think the offensive rookie of the year should be Tyler Warren as of right now. He's been a big reason for the Colts' success. He has 518 yards, 42 receptions, and 3 touchdowns on the year. So his touchdowns may not be phenomenal, but he's clearly been a consistent target for the Colts. And I think he's just playing out of his mind as a rookie tight end. He's really has been very impactful. He's got a lot of attention, a lot of praise, and he's just making plays each and every week. I think this is a guy that is going to be a 10-plus year starter in this league as a tight end. He's just got everything you would want and more. Love it. Next, defensive rookie of the year would be, as of right now, Abdul Carter. Now, I know, how did I come up with this? More so, I picked him because of his draft prospect, because of how high he was rated. He's performed very well, and amongst a defensive unit that has names all over the D-line, he doesn't get lost in the shuffle. He makes plays. He's in on it. He's become a very valuable member of that team, just like every other pass rusher there now. I think Brian Burns is probably the best defensive player they have, then probably Dex next, and then probably Abdul will slide in third. But eye test, he looks great. He's playing very well. But as the season goes on, I think a defensive rookie really could step up, and I want everyone to keep their eye on Malachi Starks from the Ravens. He probably just had his best game as a pro on Thursday against the Dolphins. Had a phenomenal interception. He's a guy that really could start taking form as the season goes on, but I don't want to. I can't give him that credit yet because it hasn't been as on display as Abdul Carter. So I'd give it to Abdul Carter at the moment. Now to end it, it's more of a conversation than a pick, but it'd be the coach of the year. I think coach of the year in general is going to have to be decided at the end of the season. It's too hard to pick a coach of the year as of right now. I mean, there's so many contenders for it. I mean, you got Shane Steichen with the Indianapolis Colts, who put them in a great position. You got Mike McDonald up in Seattle, who's done wonders with this team. You got Kyle Shanahan, who's made the Niners team that's been falling apart still competitive every single week. If John Harbaugh can turn a 1-5 Ravens team into a playoff contender, close to winning out almost every game, he's got to be in the conversation. You got to put Sean Payton in the conversation, what he's done with Denver. I mean, Denver looks like a phenomenal team, just out of this world. Todd Bowles with the Bucks, he's made this team look phenomenal. He should be in the contention. Sean McVay, I mean, he's got Stafford at his age looking like an MVP. He should be in the conversation. Like, you got so many guys that are putting, I mean, let's not forget Kevin O'Connell over with the Vikings. You got so many great coaches that are doing so many different things. And this season alone, I think, has really shown the difference between having a very well-coached team to a very poorly coached team. So if you notice, the teams with the best coaches, we're not as worried about long-term. Now, we may be worried about the quarterback. We may be worried about some other aspects of the team. But overall, we're pretty confident that the best coaches in the league are going to really fill in the holes and help carry these great teams to success. We're not betting on the Vikings because of J.J. McCarthy. We're betting on them because of Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. We weren't betting on Drake May and the Patriots just because of May alone. We were betting on Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels. We weren't betting on Bo Nix. We were betting on Sean Payton. This is greatness. These coaches and what they can do, that's greatness. And that is something that cannot be overlooked this season because coaching matters. And it matters so strongly. And we're seeing the difference each and every week. I told you, the reason the Broncos are winning is because of coaching. The reason the Falcons probably aren't winning is because their coach is not to the standard of these other great coaches. It's a sad and harsh reality for some guys that they're just not going to be where they're at. I mean, the Dolphins are clearly in the hole they're in because they have a bad head coach. Now, he's a great coordinator. We're not questioning that. But he's a bad head coach. It's an award that's really hard to give it. If I'm giving it to anyone, if I'm truly have to decide who I'm giving it to, I'm giving it to Sean Payton. At 7-2 Broncos with a phenomenal defense, a quarterback clearly a ceiling. I would not say a phenomenal elite weapon at anywhere on that offense. there's no team I think is playing more up and down each week, trying to but pulling out the wins better than the Broncos. So I would say Sean Payton should be, as of right now, my coach of the year, and that would be my midseason awards, everyone. So I hope everyone enjoyed football on Sunday. It was a phenomenal week. Like I said, we had 9-1 score games come down to the wire. It was phenomenal. It was amazing. I loved every aspect of it. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And once again, as always, thank you for letting me be a part of your lives. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.